Joining us now, he's a regular on the show. He's a good friend, close friend of the show. He's the head coach at the Iowa State Cyclones, and of course, our resident Kansas City Chiefs fan. I speak of Jamie Pinkerton. Joins us back here on In the Circle. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Eric. Just glad to hear the good news that you all and your family are fine after the hurricane. So,
Appreciate that. Yeah,
especially happy to see you this morning.
I appreciate to hear that as well. I'm definitely fortunate as well. Let's talk about obviously fall ball. You got the Big Four Classic this week up at Iowa. How has the fall gone for your team?
Well, so far, pretty good. We started off slow. We've played 5 games. We're going to close out the fall season at the Big Four this weekend, and we started off a little slow. In fall, you're working on so many different things and trying to teach newcomers a system, trying to install that system with them and get them up to speed. And sometimes you neglect things that you will fine tune in January when you return to campus, or when you get into individuals, which we will following the fall season. We'll get to work on fine tuning some of the parts of the game that we need to work on, but started off a little defensively, a little shaky early on. That's come on. We played really well this past weekend. And then as we've done things with hitting, and we haven't scrimmaged as much this fall. Coach Sennett's been working on pitch design and working on different things with the pitching staff, so we haven't been able to get out and scrimmage as much. So, which that means if you don't scrimmage, you don't see live pitching, and you don't see live pitching, your timing's going to be off. So got off to a little bit of slow start, but this past weekend, we had a pretty good weekend.
When you get to this week, which is always every year, Big Four Classic, you're going to be part of it, whoever's hosting, Iowa State, obviously Northern Iowa, Drake, a part of it. Do you have a goal in mind where you want your team to be at here as you get to this tournament, or is it one of those things where, hey, when we get there, we'll just kind of see what we got?
Well, as a coach, it's kind of you're competitive, right? And you want to win. Everybody knows that. But also, too, there are certain things that we want to accomplish, and we want to get newcomers time. We're trying to hold pitch counts down on a couple of our pitchers and let some other pitchers pitch. So you're really not at mid-season form or even beginning of the season form. And when you get to the Big Four, we've been able to accomplish a lot of that in our first 5 games, and we've sputtered at times. We haven't played great defense at times. One thing that's been really good has been our pitching for the most part. But when you get to the Big Four, it's a whole different thing. You try to kick it in gear because as you probably know, I've heard from the other coaches, a lot of recruits are coming there. So you want to put your best foot forward, but also too, at the same time, you want to get what you need to get done. So in my eyes, I look at it as Major League spring training. We've been playing in shifts. No one's really played more than 3 or 4 innings until this weekend, been shuttling in different combinations. And, when you do that, things are going to be shaky. But as we get towards this Big Four, maybe we'll give what we project as our starting lineup 5 innings in a 9-inning game. Or 6. I haven't quite drawn that up with the coaching staff yet, and see what that'll look like. But obviously, you got those competitive juices. You got those in-state schools who, all of us coaches respect each other, but also too, we want to win. But also too, in the fall, is that really the end game? I think what we're looking for is getting things done that we need to get done to go into fall to know what we're working on. So when we draw it up, we'll see, what we're going to end up doing this weekend. But it's a great opportunity. This year it's in Iowa City, and we're really looking forward to playing.
You return a lot of players from last year who finished 4th in the Big 12, great standings finish, but yet I know there was games there you wished you felt like you left on the board as far as, what could have been. When you reflect back on last year, what do you think about, and what was the message to the returners?
I unfinished business. I mean, I think they have a sour taste in their mouths. I think, especially after how it played out, the top 3 in front of us. I mean, being on the committee, I knew that, we left some games on the table, like you said. But we had a couple of games against some teams. We played UCLA really close. We no hit them for 5 innings, lost on a sac fly to Washington, had to lead with 2 outs in the second twice against Texas. Let a series get away here at home with Texas Tech. So if you can go back and change a combination of any of those games, we're probably in the tournament. And the fourth quadrant losses. We had a couple of those on spring break. We hit a rough patch, which, all teams do. We just hit the rough patch with the wrong teams. And, although we finished with I call it our third straight winning season because I don't count COVID, but 2 winning seasons in a row. We're in the best stretch since the 80s here with Iowa State softball. So the returners have, getting back to them, they have a sour taste in their mouth, and they've been pretty focused this fall. And if we can keep that focus and attention to details and staying hungry, I think we'll be fine.
Was that part of growth that this roster needed to have? Like, obviously you wish those results are different, but that's part of the growth of a team of coming together, because you were young last year in certain areas. Now you're going to have that experience. You've gone through that. You've gone through those, like, man, that now they've got that motivation going into this year. And it also speaks to the expectations, how you've built it. Whereas maybe 5-10 years ago, last year would have been like, hey, it's successful, but what you've accomplished, no, that's not good enough now at Iowa State.
No, excuse me. And you're exactly right, Eric. I think we had a growth. We realized, I think, insanity is when you do the same thing over and over and expect the result to change. And I think now our team, as a coaching staff, we were saying we got to do this, this, and this. And they were listening and trying. But I think that, and this is on me, I think we got away from doing little things over and over again and getting that monotonous repetition in. And I think now they realize that. And a lot of that comes back to, the name always comes up. Sammy Williams and Logan Shaban, they did not allow for those little things to slip by, things that us coaches off the field or, whether it be in the classroom, getting in we have 20 hours a week, and we know the good teams, the teams are getting together and getting extra work in on their own. Whatever that little piece was, we didn't have that leadership quite yet. And I think that's where the growth and the growth mindset's coming in. And now we're finding that that's happening more this year. They're talking about it more. Hey, this is what happened. This is what we need to do. And that leadership is coming in. So, I think that they've learned a lesson. And, now let's put the work in and see where we are.
Your return experience in the circle, a lot of innings returning. Just talk about how you feel about your pitching staff going into this season.
A very good pitching staff. I think, over the course of this run that we've been in since we arrived, I think, Kate's done a great job with the staff. The ERA was in the mid-5s, and last year it was in the 3s. So it's getting better. You got Ellie Spellhog back. She's a senior. We have Carly Charles back, senior. Janessa Jasso back, senior. And, Saya Swain's back, junior. And then we'll sprinkle in a freshman. Tatum Johnson's a two-way player for us. Has been playing center field and doing a good job at the plate and pitching. She's, kind of finding her way right now, getting the nerves out. But she's when she's been good, she's been really good. And, when she gets a little nervous and things like that, she walks a few batters, but seems to get out of it, and then doing a great job for us at the plate. And then we got Jaden Ralston, a freshman. So we got a good mix of experience and youth. And, we're trying to build that staff up on the back end, and hopefully early in the season, obviously, once again, you're playing for the committee all year long. You're trying to build that resume. We've got to get the young ones up to speed, obviously for our future, but also we want to be able to get where we get. So really happy with the pitching staff so far this fall. They've thrown 2 combined 10-inning no-hitters. Each of them, the 5 have each thrown 2 or 3 innings apiece, and they've been, even if my dad used to say, even though you're playing your little sister in the backyard, if you can throw a no-hitter for 10 innings twice, then things are going pretty well.
Offensively, you return a lot of your top hitters, including Michaela Ramos, second team All Big 12, hit 14 homers, 51 RBIs last year, 329, led your team in all those categories. What makes her such a great hitter?
Hey, she's really good at pitch selection. She's really good at hitting mistakes, and she knows who she is as a hitter. And she's up there hunting certain pitches early in the count, and then trying to fight off. And when she gets down in the count, she doesn't strike out a lot. So she fights off until a pitcher makes a mistake. And what's been really good about Michaela is this fall, she's coming off an injury, getting a knee cleaned up. And she hasn't played yet this fall, and I'm probably going to hold her out, so she's kind of been a coach as a COVID senior. She's been really good with the young catchers and helping them along. So we're also finding out what life's going to be without Mick this fall. So, but she's been really involved with us. She's been rehabbing and taking her swings, and in the cage she looks well. If we were in season, we probably would expedite that return, but I think in the fall we're just going to let her practice and then not use her this spring until the spring. But just the maturity that she has. I mean, hopefully it's kind of hopefully it'll turn into her mindset as this is her team, this is my last tour, and kind of have some Sammy Williams characteristics, and she's been really good with the young players in the fall. So hopefully we'll get her back on the field soon. But a big piece to the puzzle for the season.
Yeah, no, I had an incredible year. I actually shoulder short 53 RBI she had last year. But you have the other great players coming back. Carly Spellhog returns as well. Angelina Allen. Just talk about your overall offense.
Well, it's looked good in the fall once we got rolling. That this past weekend, obviously Carly Spellhog's back. She sets the table at the top of the lineup. She singles. It's usually a double because she can steal a bag. And she's a gap to gap hitter and has occasional pops. I'm hoping that she gives us. Our home run production was down a little bit last year. Hopefully, she's been working on some things in the cages. Hopefully, we can get her from that 6, 7, 8 home run range up into 10, 11, and 12. Angelina Allen's been great as a sophomore. She's been named one of our team captains. That's just an attribute to who she is, or a tribute to who she is. The players respect her, and she does a really good job and has had a good fall so far. Malaysia Ocho is back. She's another one of our captains that has been named by the team. So we've been playing a little bit with her in center field and flanking her with Spellhog and one of the freshmen and some returners. So we're looking really good there. Defensively in the middle, I think we're really, really good. Alicia Ranches and Casey Simpson's back for a COVID year. So, and then you got Mick behind the plate with some experience there. So we're really strong up the middle defensively. And I think that was one of our strong suits. Except for a couple of games, we were really, really solid defensively. Really the only pitched battles that we have in practice right now is third base. Kaylee Pond went into the transfer portal. That's the first time we've really felt the effects of a starter going into the portal. She wanted to go back home, and she's at Cal now, and it's good to see how she's doing. But obviously, we're going to miss her. But that's really the battle right there. We got a senior in Sarah Tyree battling for that position. We have transfer Sophie Morris battling for that position at third, and we have a freshman named Ashley Miner that's over there too, with a couple of other returners. So that's kind of what we've been trying to figure out in the fall, who's going to step in that infield position, because the other three are pretty locked. But I feel really good about the depth there too, because this fall Ranches has been nicked up a little bit. So freshman McKenna Andrews has done a really good job stepping in. She's a slick fielder. And then we have sophomore Olivia Wardlow, who has done a really good job this fall, hit the ball really well. And when Casey decided to come back, if Olivia keeps doing what she's doing, we got to find a spot for her, because I think she's hitting like 750 this fall. So it's a good problem to have. And right, defensively, we're solid. And, a couple of years ago when we were talking, we were really young, and I felt we could be really good. And now, the veterans are coming through, And now, we're trying to sort out the last bit of the COVID kids. Carly Spellhog has stated she's going to come back. Carly Charles is going to come back, and Alicia Ranches is going to come back. So we're still going to have a solid core next year, even when we get really young.
Solid core, and yet I sense here and listening to your voice, you like the new faces you've got on this team that you think will add a lot to this veteran group.
Oh, absolutely. If any, obviously we're going to take a step up in competition. We've played what I feel are some of the best junior colleges in Iowa. We played an NAI school this weekend, and I like what they've shown, and they're getting up to speed. But the Ashley Miner, it's been an adjustment. We really like her. She comes out of the Impact program in Texas. McKenna Andrews is a Texas Glory kid out of the same program as Casey Simpson. And then Tatum Johnson, we talk about, played for the Cal Cruisers. She's going to be the one I'm really eager to see how she grows, because she doesn't have the issue of just being a position player and a hitter. She's got to, be able to blend in the pitching. And I'm eager to see how that works with her and how she handles that, because obviously when the lights come on, how is she going to handle that pressure if we have her pitching and batting? She's been batting fifth or sixth, so she's in the middle of the lineup. So far she's had some ups and downs, but I really like her progress. Right field right now is the other pitched battle. Tiana Pools, a freshman, has done a good job. She played for Marty's Corona Angels, so got some good talent. We've got a Marcato kid at first that's pushing Mo Allen at first, and Paige Nakashima. So I really feel about these freshmen will be able to contribute, whether it's off the bench, filling in for an injury, or being a designated player when we get Mick back in the lineup.
Big 12 is such a unique time for the Big 12. You mentioned earlier, obviously, what a year for the Big 12 last year, with Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma State all getting to the Women's College World Series. You beat Oklahoma State, could have won the Texas series, pushed Oklahoma. What was your thought as you saw all three teams get to OKC? Obviously, Oklahoma and Texas playing for the national title. I know you weren't surprised having seen them in person, but at the same time, you're thinking, we're not that far away either. Like you were right there against all those three teams in individual games.
I think the Big 12 was undervalued last year if you're a stock investor. I thought that all along. I thought even though we were kind of in the low 50s RPI wise, I think, not saying I thought we should have been in, but I thought we probably should have gotten a little more consideration. And, that's just me fighting for my women. But, like I said, I thought it was undervalued. And I think it's going to be a great conference again this year with the teams. I think Texas Tech's going to be better. Kansas was a lot better this year. And, I just think the conference and you always got the ones that we have always tried to get in front of to get in that upper echelon. I think it's going to be a lot more balanced, even more so this year with what, Coach Snyder will do at Texas Tech, and, Coach Moore. Baylor is traditionally good, and we've had some really good battles with them the last couple of years. So I just look for the Big 12 to be more balanced this year, and raising the standard of, the fourth place finish in the Big 12 era for us. So, we've gotten to the doorstep now. What can we do to get better, to maybe slide in between Oklahoma State, Texas, and OU? So that's the battle. And then, also looking to the future with the following year with UCF and BYU and Houston coming in. We'll all be together one year, and unless something unforeseen happens. And man, what a conference that's going to be.
I was going to say, because I remember last year when we spoke, the news had just happened. So you were still kind of digesting it at all. Now you're a year closer to it. What's your thoughts as far as you get ready for that in a year with those teams, the new members joining in, and what that will mean for the league and how the league will look a year from now?
If all 10 remain, which, we've had the meetings, and it looks like at least 1 year we're going to be together. I think it's going to be really tough. I think, it's we've already been a multiple league year. Some years it's 4. Some years it's even been 5. Last year, unfortunately, it was just 3. But I think with those additions and everything, I think it could be a 4, 5, 6 bid league, 4 at the very least. And I'm thinking 5 and 6 could be probable. If some things come along with us, and if we continue on our upward trend, and what I think that Kansas and Texas Tech and Baylor will do, who knows? I think there's even an outside shot in the next year or so that all of us can get in like the SEC. Now, is that me looking through Big 12 lenses? Absolutely. But I think as well as I know, and softball fans know, that any of those teams are capable. You got BYU that has made it 17 straight years until this year. Baylor traditionally is there every year. Houston, I think, I've seen some of the commitments they're getting and watching closely. I think they're going to be ticking back upward and getting back to old form. And, and what Cindy's doing down there at UCF, I mean, there's no reason to believe that just in those 3 and then the teams in the conference that, it could be a 6, 7, 8 team league and in 20, what would that be, 25 now or 24. So I'm really looking forward to it. As any good coach worth their salt likes competition. And yes, the job's going to be tougher, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah, UCF coming off that year where they made the Super Regionals after hosting there, ran in to Oklahoma in the Supers. Otherwise, they could have been at OKC as well on their run. How will that affect your scheduling as far as non-conference schedule? With obviously the conference schedule will be tweaked a little bit as a result of the new members. How will that affect your scheduling overall?
You talking 24 or when
yeah.
Texas are gone?
No, but we're still with them there.
Yeah, I think the schedule hasn't come out. Obviously, we've had our meetings, and I've talked to Dana and the Big 12. Maybe in my mind's eye I have, but I think we're going to obviously start the second week of March, Big 12 play, which we're used to starting at the end of March. You had 3 teams, and so that's going to be kind of problematic for us because really that last week of March when we opened Big 12 is really the first kind of weekend that's really halfway decent. I mean, other Big 12 schools might disagree, and sometimes we have that 32-degree rule come in, but you start pushing us, trying to start us the second week of March, there's still snow on the ground. It's usually spring break when we leave that the snow starts to melt, and they start getting our field into shape. And so the last week of March probably would be as early as I feel comfortable. So it probably wouldn't change it from our standpoint. We probably would still spend the first 5 or 6 weeks on the road. But, you might be able to push us up 1 week, but you better be able to be flexible on schedule and flight plans. But I think the schedule gets more interesting. I think, the fringes, Orlando and Salt Lake, it'll be interesting to see how the Big 12 puts that together. Obviously, you don't want to have a team playing at BYU one weekend and then going to Orlando the next weekend. So I think there's some tweaks that'll have to be done, and our conference office will handle that the right way.
Let's kind of deviate a little bit. We always talk a little Kansas City Chiefs. You're a long time Chiefs fan. We've talked about that numerous times. I'm curious this year because there's some changes this year with the Chiefs. No Tyreek Hill. He's on my team, the Dolphins, this year. Appreciate that. Enjoyed
the draft. Appreciate the draft.
Yeah, maybe we both win in that trade. Who knows? What's been your thoughts on the Chiefs post Tyreek Hill?
I think it's been everything that Andy Reid, if you read the Kansas City Star and you listen to what they're saying, it was going to be a 5. They didn't think they would be really hitting all cylinders until week 5 or 6. I mean, you take a person out of the lineup like the Cheetah, I mean, you're going to have the vertical game is probably, obviously the Chiefs are still quick, but the vertical game's probably not what it was like the other night. Tyreek still, Miami's kind of struggling, and then you get that long bomb 80 yards and gets to the 2 or 3 yard line against Cincinnati. Anyways, I think they kind of hit their stride with Tampa. And if you take away a moment of trash talking, they're probably 4-0. I mean, I didn't really think that they would do to Tampa what they did. I thought after 4 weeks they would be 3-1, but with the loss to Tampa rather than Indianapolis. And it's Raider week, so anything can happen this week. But we might. I can't gamble on sport because football is a sport in the NCAA, but maybe if the Fins and the Chiefs end up in the AFC Championship game, maybe we'll visit each other.
That's good. Yeah, yeah. Dolphins got to get a quarterback back. Tua is out with a concussion, so who knows how long he'll be out with that. But you guys invested in the offensive line, which is something you were concerned about. I know in years you've told me in the past you were concerned about the offensive line around Mahomes going back to the year against the Bucs in the Super Bowl, and that was why they kind of traded Tyreek Hill, because they invested in the offensive line. Are you confident in the line?
Yeah. I mean, last year it got them back. Except for whatever happened in the AFC Championship game. Was it fluke or was it real? I mean, who knows? But I think that wasn't the offensive line, and the offensive line with the Bucs defense. That I figured no one really blitzes Mahomes because it doesn't end well. And but I thought they moved the pocket around quite a bit with him. He was on the move more than in between the tackles throwing. And I thought they had a good game plan, knowing that they were going to get pressure, and Tampa's defense is really good. So, who knows? The AFC is pretty wild. You can the Fins, the Bills, the Bengals, the Chiefs,
Ravens.
Ravens. Defense is going to be their bugaboo, but it's really interesting to see. I think the best teams are definitely in the AFC.
Yeah, I think that's the stronger of the two conferences there, without question. Plus, now you got my buddy Matthew Wright filling in as a kicker there while your Harrison Butker's out for a while. I hope Butker stays out a little longer there, so my buddy can get a couple at least games out of it.
Well, the way he kicked last night. Where was he? The first. I say we. I'm not on the team. But, the Chiefs probably win if they kick a couple field goals against Indianapolis. So,
right.
They went for the fake. He missed one, went for the make and missed the extra point. There's a ball game. So they addressed it. And, maybe having Wright the way he kicked, maybe they can not press Butker back into service so quick where he could possibly re-injure something. So definitely a good pickup. And he was big in the game against Tampa.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And you guys are going to be very loaded. Are you going to try to? I know you try to sneak out there once a year at least after fall ball. Is that still a goal there?
Yeah, I got well. If the game wasn't so early, I'm recruiting in Kansas City when Buffalo's there. But I just can't, with our short recruiting window. I can't slip out. I mean, it's a 3:25 game, and I'll look at the schedule. That was a thought. If that was a Sunday night game, definitely. But I'm only 3.5 hours away, so I got a couple of dates scheduled or circled after Thanksgiving down there. So we'll see if I can make it down there.
I'll let you go on this. Obviously, as you get through the Big Four Classic this week and the rest of the fall, before you know it, February comes around. What are going to be some of the keys for this team to be successful and accomplish your goals?
Can you say that again? You locked up.
Yeah. What's going to be your goal as you finish up fall and get ready before you know it, February comes around? What's going to be the keys to this team's success?
Pound the strike zone, get ahead in the count. Get balls mishit, which has happened this fall. I think we'll have a better answer than that after the Big Four because, as you know, UNI is really good. Rich always has a well-coached team, and I like some of the pieces that Renee's putting together at Iowa. So we'll get it kind of a measuring stick there this weekend. But, we always play pretty good defense. We just got to be able last year. We got to close out. We got to make the routine, and then the spectacular play will come. And in our losses last year, there was always one inning extended, whether it was a mental error, not throwing to the right base, giving up the back runner, and then giving up a bloop single. Finishing innings and finishing games would be the key point. I like where we are defensively and offensively. We just got to find, getting with Mick. We had Mick and Sammy was a pretty good combo, and got our home run count up. There's a couple players in the lineup. If we can kind of balance that out and be able to get some OPS out of the bottom of the lineup, I think is key. And that's kind of the combinations that we're looking at. Maybe we move some players around and plant someone in the 7 or 8 to help flip the lineup. So, obviously that's stuff that the coaching staff and myself have to figure out. But, looking for a little bit more extra base potential, keep pounding the zone, working ahead and hitters, and then, finish games defensively. And I think we'll be right back in the NCAAs.
That's Jamie Pinkerton, Iowa State head coach, joining us here on In the Circle. Always fun to talk to you, man. I always enjoy this every year, and good luck this week at the Big Four. Make sure Renee takes care of you, all right? Make sure she takes care of everybody. She's hostess,
I was kind of liking this food stuff you were talking about with Jake and Rich, and we haven't been able to work that out. Obviously, I listened to your cat podcast, and I was talking to them about golf, and you're right, it's been a couple of years. My dad passed away, last summer, and then trying to take care of that business. And this summer, just with becoming a grandpa and obviously Jake's daughter is a really good golfer. We just hadn't been able to get out. So it'll be good to see those guys. And I think Renee should buy. Have you talked to her yet?
Not yet, but I can bring that up. I'll bring that up. I'll see what I can do for you guys. I'll see what I can do.
Tell her, I forget the name of it, but I know there's a good Italian place that she can cater to our dugout in Iowa City. So, and she's already told me if I ever make it to Burlington, where she's from at the same time, recruiting on the recruiting trail, she's got a chicken place for me. So, but I haven't ever made it there at the same time she's been there. So I'm definitely on top of a golfer. I'm a foodie. All you got to do is look at me. So wherever there's good food, Pink's there.
Well, I'll see what I can do for it. But you realize if whatever she does, pressure's on you when you host, then it's up to you then to take care of everybody else. So, that's why Jacobs and Calvert are like, yeah, no, we're good. We don't need to do that. We can't compete with Jamie and Renee there on that regard.
Yeah, well, there's definitely some good hookups here in Ames. So
okay,
I got a couple of things in mind, but it's got to be unanimous, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be unanimous on the other end.
Yeah, we may have to negotiate this a little longer. We may have to figure this out, but I'll see what I can do. I'll try to help out there, Coach. Right. I'll try to help out. Good. All right, Coach. Always a pleasure talking to you, sir, and good luck, and we'll talk soon.
All right, appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me, Eric. Take care, buddy.